The Galactic Council had long held power over the galaxy, a diverse assembly of species with centuries of experience in governing and peacekeeping. They were the enforcers of order, the judges of right and wrong, and the ones who decided the fate of any emerging civilization. Their role was to ensure that no species could rise to challenge the stability they had worked so hard to build. Humans were seen as primitive, their technology undeveloped, their society chaotic at best. They were an unknown threat, too young to be taken seriously, and therefore, easy to ignore. But that was until the unthinkable happened. A small, seemingly insignificant incident occurred that set off a chain of events none of them could have predicted. An alien race, one of the Council's minor members, took matters into their own hands and attacked a human colony on the outer fringes of their territory. Their justification was simple: humans were weak, and their colony was an easy target. Among the dead was a child, no more than 6 years old, whose death ignited something within humanity, a spark that would soon spread across the entire species. The Council reacted with their typical bureaucracy. At first, there was confusion. How could this have happened? An innocent child murdered, and no one had expected it. The human response was immediate and swift. Their military, often dismissed as a joke by the galactic powers, mobilized in a manner none of the Council members had anticipated. The humans began calling their fleets together, but the Council, still reeling from disbelief, believed it would amount to little more than a show of force, a symbol of their anger. It was a child's death, after all, hardly an event that would warrant the attention of an entire galactic civilization. But the reality was far darker. The humans were not so easily dismissed. As news spread across their worlds, outrage turned into action. Their government, their people, humanity united in ways that the Council had not seen before. They rallied, prepared to do anything to avenge the death of one of their own. The aliens in the Council, still blinded by their arrogance, failed to realize the true threat until it was too late. While the Council bickered and argued over how to handle the situation, the humans' resolve only grew stronger. It was clear now that they had made a grave mistake, but the Council had no idea just how much danger they had brought upon themselves. Their underestimation of humanity's capacity for wrath, for unity, for technological innovation, it was all coming to a head. The fleets were assembling, the message was clear: they had crossed a line, and the humans were not going to let it go. They were coming, and the Council could no longer ignore them. As the news of the child's death spread across Earth, the response was swift, and it was brutal. Humanity, a species long underestimated by the Galactic Council, found itself united in outrage. The death of one child sparked a fire that would not be extinguished easily. Earth's leaders, both political and military, wasted no time. This was no longer a matter of diplomacy or appeasement. It was personal. For the first time in history, humanity's true potential would be tested not just on Earth, but on a galactic scale. The military, often seen as a joke by the alien powers, now stood ready. Years of technological development that had been carefully hidden from the rest of the galaxy were suddenly revealed. The true extent of human ingenuity and innovation became clear. They had weaponry that was decades, if not centuries, ahead of anything the Galactic Council had seen. And they were prepared to use it. Humans weren't just sending a message, they were preparing for war. A network of human fleets, once fragmented and localized, now coordinated with frightening precision. The generals, once considered incapable by the Council, had no hesitation. Their resolve was clear: they would avenge the death of the child, and they would make sure the galaxy understood the consequences of underestimating them. Human soldiers, too, were ready. Their training had been rigorous, their spirit unyielding. The loss of one child had triggered an entire species to embrace unity and strength in ways the Council could not comprehend. But it wasn't just their technology or their military power that made humanity formidable, it was their drive. Humans had an uncanny ability to adapt to any situation, to find solutions where none seemed possible. Their creativity was unmatched, and their capacity for strategic thinking, combined with their desire to protect what they loved, made them dangerous opponents. Every single human across the globe now shared one purpose: to make sure that no one, no alien, would ever dare harm them again. The fleets, each one brimming with advanced technology, began to align in preparation for battle. These fleets were a far cry from the disorganized, underdeveloped forces that the Council had initially dismissed. They were a force of precision, capable of devastating attacks that could bring entire fleets to their knees. But the Council still failed to see the full scope of the threat. They believed that this, too, would be a passing moment of rage, that humanity would falter. They were wrong. The fleet that was gathering wasn't just a collection of ships, it was a declaration. Humanity was no longer a distant, weak race. They were a force to be reckoned with, and the galaxy would soon understand the full extent of their power. There was no turning back now. The humans had made their choice, and the stakes were clear. The time for negotiations had passed. They were coming, and the Galactic Council would have to answer for its actions. The Galactic Council sat in chaos. Alien representatives, once confident in their dominance, now found themselves on the defensive. The realization hit them slowly, then all at once: they had made a catastrophic error. The humans, a species they had long written off as weak and insignificant, were not backing down. The Council's initial response to the murder of a child had been dismissive, underestimating the emotional and unified power humanity could harness in such a tragedy. Now, the reality of their mistake was crashing down on them. Alien leaders, who had once mocked the notion of human strength, were now scrambling to understand how it had all gone so wrong. Desperate messages flooded in from their representatives across the galaxy, detailing the rapid mobilization of human forces. Military communications had escalated from threats to open warfare. The fleets they had thought would be insignificant were now large, coordinated, and prepared to strike. The Council, once unchallenged, was terrified. No one had anticipated this level of human resolve. They had been certain that the humans would retreat, that the momentary rage would pass. But it hadn't. The humans were serious. In the chambers of the Council, alien diplomats argued furiously. Some leaders, particularly those who had dismissed humanity as a non-threat, tried to maintain their arrogance, suggesting that humans would never be able to back up their threats. But there were others, more cautious, who feared the worst. They knew that the humans, once cornered, were capable of unpredictable actions. Their technological advancements, too, were far more impressive than previously realized. Human warships, once thought rudimentary, were proving to be highly advanced, and their combat strategies demonstrated a level of coordination and ingenuity that stunned the Council. Attempts were made to negotiate, to offer reparations or promises of justice. But each overture was met with cold refusal. The humans were not interested in appeasement, they demanded retribution. The Council's attempt to pacify the situation only fueled the fire. The more they tried to placate humanity, the more it became clear that the humans weren't willing to settle for anything less than vengeance. This was not a conflict that could be resolved with diplomatic words. The humans wanted action. By now, the Council was splintering. Fear was spreading among the alien factions, many of whom were realizing the gravity of the situation. Some were already making plans to flee or distance themselves from the Council, unwilling to face the wrath of the humans. Others tried to rally their forces in preparation for what was to come. The once unified front of the Galactic Council was cracking under the pressure, and the realization that they were ill-prepared for humanity's full force was setting in. The tone of the Council shifted from arrogant dismissiveness to outright panic. What had seemed like a minor skirmish, a small inconvenience, had now spiraled into a galactic threat. The truth was undeniable: humanity, the species they had dismissed, was a far greater force than they had ever anticipated. The Council was no longer in control. The humans were coming, and there was nothing they could do to stop it. The moment the human fleets entered the galactic system, the Council knew they were in trouble. For all their political maneuvering, for all their arrogance, nothing could have prepared them for what was about to unfold. The humans had arrived, and they were not asking for permission. They were here for justice, and they would have it, no matter the cost. The human military was a force to be reckoned with. The fleets that the Council had dismissed as inconsequential were now fully equipped with weapons capable of tearing through entire armadas. Human warships, designed with a combination of advanced technology and tactical genius, struck with terrifying precision. The Council's once dominant forces, the very fleets that had maintained peace across the galaxy for centuries, were now on the defensive. The aliens scrambled to regroup, but it was too late. The humans were already several steps ahead. What had once seemed like an impossible victory for the humans was now an inevitability. Their ships, once thought of as primitive, were now wreaking havoc on alien forces, tearing through shields and armor with frightening ease. The human technology was unlike anything the Council had seen: innovative, deadly, and ruthless. The sheer unpredictability of the humans in combat made them even more dangerous. They adapted to every situation, overcoming every obstacle with creativity and determination. The aliens tried to retaliate, launching counterattacks and deploying their strongest fleets, but the humans were prepared. They anticipated every move. Human tactics were unlike anything the Council had encountered: quick, decisive, and utterly relentless. The aliens were not just fighting a war, they were watching their once unquestioned dominance slip away, piece by piece. The humans' wrath, born of the death of a single child, had become an unstoppable tide that no force in the galaxy could hold back. As the battles raged on, the Council began to understand the full scope of their error. The humans were not just another race, they were a species capable of rising to any challenge, of turning every defeat into a victory. The galactic powers that once stood proudly in the council chambers were now left scrambling, their forces in disarray, their leaders scrambling for any hope of salvation. But there was no escaping the reality: humanity had arrived, and they were no longer the underdogs. By the time the first alien capital fell, the message was clear. The humans would not be stopped. The Council, once proud and secure in its power, was now at the mercy of a species it had underestimated. The balance of power in the galaxy was shifting, and there was nothing the Council could do to prevent it. The humans had come for retribution, and they had delivered it in full force. The galactic order was shattered, and the Council, in its terror, could only watch as humanity claimed its place as the galaxy's new power.